Hi everyone, it's Karen here with two easy watercoloring techniques for Prima marketing using their Princess stamps, watercolor confections, and the Color Philosophy inks. Enjoy! The first Princess stamp I use is Princess Stamp Katherine. I use watercolor paper for both the princesses, so I knew I needed to accurately stamp on the background. So I used a stamping tool and some black archival ink on the stamp and continued pressing until I got a clear image. I had to do this a few times as the watercolor paper is very coarse and it's harder to stamp on it. Since the Princess stamp is such a detailed stamp, it was important to make sure that the stamp wouldn't move while I was stamping it over and over, so I won't get a double image. So after many times of stamping, I got a very clear image of the actual Katherine stamp. For this technique, I used the Pastel Dreams watercolor confections from Prima Marketing. And I also used a watercolor paintbrush. The watercolor confections are very highly pigmented, so they give a very beautiful effect when using it for watercolors. One of the techniques I use is to put the darker color at the edge of any line and then press on my paintbrush and let the water dilute the ink, the pigment as it goes down the object. I used the watercolor paintbrush to add water to each confection so I could switch between them to color the flowers and also to color the body. To paint the flowers, I first put the orange, which was lighter, and then I added red on top to create some darker highlights. The watercolor confections are so easy to use, and they come in this small tin box that you can travel with. They come in different color sets. This is the pastel color and it's really beautiful. Now I just sit and enjoy and relax the watercolor painting as I go through the flowers. Watercoloring is so much fun. Sometimes just the simple technique of just using some watercolor and a paintbrush, just coloring in the lines, just makes somebody feel so relaxed, even when watching it or doing it. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the process. For the second watercoloring technique, I use the Princess Stamp Grace. This time I use the Color Philosophy inks to stamp it on the watercolor paper. I used the sepia color, and again I had to use my stamping tool so I would get a crisp image once I stamped a few times. Now it was time to color the princess, and I used the same Philosophy inks colors. Because they react with water, I could use them as watercolors. And if here I'm painting the skin, this is the bear color, as I wanted to make the skin light. As this girl reminded me so much of my daughter, so I wanted to make her her skin color is very pale, so I wanted to use the bear color for that. To color the flowers, I used 3 different shades of blue from the Philosophy inks. I used Atlas Blue, Sea Breeze, and Bora Bora. And I used the lighter colors first to color in the center and the petals, and then the darker colors to give it some highlights. I also use the blues to color in the dress. I love the bleeding lines the watercolor creates once it touches the lines that I stamped in the background with the sepia color. It gives it a really neat effect, almost like tie-dye. I realized I forgot to color in the face, so I brought back my bear color and colored the face as well. As my daughter has reddish hair, I brought Apricot and Carrot Philosophy inks, and I started coloring the hair. I added the light color and then the darker color on top. What I like about this technique, especially stamping with the Color Philosophy inks that react with water, is that the edges bleed a little bit more and kind of mix with the actual colors when you're watercoloring the background. It's a completely different watercolor effect that you get doing this technique. You really get a very soft background and very soft edges to the stamped image. Then I brought some burnt sienna Color Philosophy to add some darker highlights. Finally, I used amethyst and soft lilac to color in the background. Thank you so much for watching. For more inspiration, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye!